9,700 meters, and it is Andrus Verpalu, and watching him very closely, but from a distance, Frode still.
Now, what do you think about this move? Do you think he's just trying to string him out here and make something happen, or?
I think he wants to break the field up, and it's sort of, I don't know whether this is sort of reminiscent. We used to talk about this in the long distance running and the cross-country running of the Kenyans, that they could always run this very uneven rhythm, that they could burst away, slow it down, burst away, and it's very uncomfortable to be in a race like that where someone's making the pace, slowing the pace, making the pace again, and it really breaks everybody's rhythm.
Just kind of playing some mental games out there and trying to control in the race there.
The difference, I think, this time, Torren, is compared to 2 years ago when Andrus won the title, is that he came there with a tactic they didn't know about. Now they know about Andrus Verpalu. They know what he's likely to do. They also know that he can't lead this to a sprint finish.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be underestimating him this year.
But he is tough and he is strong, and he can make it so hard that he can take the finish out of most of these runners.
And I think that's something that's really going to help him is he's so good on his skis, able to get those skis down and make them work for himself, that if the race comes down to having to make skis that aren't perfect work, that he could be one of those guys.
Need to try to bring you up to date with some of the other contenders. Just to give you an idea of the spread as they went through 9,700 meters, because those results are on the screen pretty quickly. The first 20 are covered by 10 seconds, so still pretty close. There's still a lot of people in there who can move up. But one or two just slip back. Lars Carlson of Sweden, even Batory down in 25th place. He's got 12 seconds to make up. Likewise, the other Slovakian, Martin Basicak, who is 15 seconds off the pace. And looking a little bit further down the list, Denisov, rather disappointing. Vitaly Denisov, 51 seconds off the pace. That's not so encouraging. Justin Freeman for the United States, brother of Chris Freeman, a minute behind. And here's a question for you. Chris Freeman, fantastic performance in the under-23s, winning the 30-kilometer classic mass start. Why not in this race?
Well, I mean, Chris came off, and it should be noted that Chris won for the first time ever a World Championship for the United States, and it was an awesome race. He comes into the World Championships racing 3 races, the under-23 World Championships, all in the hunt, and he comes right into the World Championships. The plan is for him to rest a couple days and be on his A game come the pursuit and a little bit of the shorter distances. This is probably his best event, 30K Classic. He would be up in this lead group. I have no doubts. He's feeling extremely confident. He's totally healthy and has everything going for him. But look for him in the later races.
Yeah, he might feel a bit frustrated with so many defections. He might have thought to himself, well, I could be in there. Maybe not for a medal, but he could be in there for one good result.
Just to tell you how fast he's skiing, he came right over from the United States National Championships and went out and raced where they were racing in Oberhof, I believe, and was in the top 3 until about 12 Ks in that 15K race, and then just faded to the top 20s. But still, I don't know, he's showing that he's not scared to race against these guys.
We're going to talk about him a lot more, but one thing so special about him, special in the sense that it's enough to have to be the best in the world or try to be the best in the world, but he's a diabetic, so that's another problem he has to get over.
Yeah, he's had to deal with a lot of physical issues. He also had some problems with his legs a couple years ago and had to have them worked on. And the diabetics is something that he's a type 1 diabetic, and he's going to have to deal with that for the rest of his life.
Well, I was going to say, like Sir Steve Redgrave, who was our superstar rower in Great Britain, who won 5 consecutive Olympic gold medals and had diabetes diagnosed in the latter stages of his career, and he had to deal with that all the time, which means sort of throughout the day having to make sure that the insulin levels are corrected.
Yeah, every meal Chris is taking, he has to know what he's eating, how many carbohydrates it has in it, and he's having to take insulin shots through an Eli Lilly insulin pill.
So we'll talk a little bit more when we see Chris in action. But understandably, as you've explained it, Torren, that's why he's not here, needs the rest to do well. But it is Reto Burgermeister for Switzerland who has the advantage now. And it's Switzerland up there in the lead. And it looks to me as if he's leading from Jürgen Brink, that top sprinter, but also Jürgen Brink with a very good result from Otapa over today's distance and in today's style. Frode still there as well. And Fredriksson. In fact, Matti Fredriksson it is. My apologies there. Matti Fredriksson just taking the lead over from Reto Bergermeister. So this is really interesting. And Verpalu, I wonder how he's going to work this one out today. Verpalu.
This looks like a solid effort from Matthias Fredriksson right here. I think he's trying to maybe break it open to that top 8 guys.
So it's Verpalu, Bergermeister, then, sorry, I should say Estil in the lead. No, Matti Fredriksson in the lead. Apologies for all of that confusion.
Another person we haven't really talked about, Oddbjorn Hjemmeset there in about 4th place. Just taking his drink from the Norwegian coaches there.
Yes, he was the racer who had that tumble early on. Well, if you're going to fall, better do it early than late. But as you say, he's got him in his sights. So Fredriksson opening it up, really double poling, really trying to make... The important thing in Torren is when you do this, you've got to really make it work.
You've got to make it work, and also you can see that he's not putting 100% into it. I think he's trying to still stay a little bit rhythmic. He knows that he's still got 17 kilometers of racing left in him. But this is looking like a true effort. This is looking like the first true game effort that we've seen today.
So wearing 2, it's Matti Fredriksson coming over yet another of these undulating rollers. Bergermeister for Switzerland in 2nd place. Verpalu in 3rd. Then just behind Schluter was in there, and also Hjemmeset. 14 just coming down now, that's Villisov. 2 up front is Fredriksson, and he hasn't got away because they've got him back in his sights as they come right in front of the stadium crowd here. So 15,000 metres completed, and we'll get a full check for you as they go through.
Matthias Fredriksson, the former world junior champion, he's looking really good this year so far. And looking for his first World Championship medal, gold medal.
Botvinov, very interesting to see him in there. Soroka, who dropped back, has got back into that group. 10 seconds for Villisov. Villisov's made a move as well. So this is quite interesting. In the last 2,000 metres, 1 or 2 people have moved up in the gap between the 10 and the 15. There have been quite a lot of midfield moves.
Yeah, I think with this move here, and if the pace stays as hot as it is, our winners are going to come out of this top group of 15 here.
Yeah, Villisov in 15th place at the moment, and he's just behind Anders Auckland, and there's only 10-12 seconds separating them from the leader, Matti Fredriksson. Thomas Olsgaard on the near side, closest to camera, moving up to 3rd place. So far, so good. He's kept them in his sights.
He's looking like he knows what to do.
Now I wonder if that's a telltale sign as to where the breakaways are going to come now. Or looking at the course map, where do you think that the big decisive points are going to come, Torren?
Well, there's plenty of climbing. There's not a worry about having enough climbing there for the climber to make his move. It almost reminds me of like the Giro d'Italia out here, in that it's going to be a climber's course. They're getting a little rest recovery right here, but then it gets right into it, and it seems to climb for more or less 2 kilometers. And there's also some fair climbs at the end of the 7.5K loop.
So that's the situation at half distance, a race which in Lahti took 1 hour and 14 minutes. So interesting to see how the time goes here. But you can see how close it is. Now, those 2 Russians have significantly moved up. Ivanov having by far his best run of the season. Well, I suppose the World Championships, if you can't get motivated for that, you can't get motivated for anything. So the Russians actually looking a little better than they were about 10 minutes ago. But Bergermeister, you picked him out, and he's doing really well at the moment. and the Swiss women having a tough time with lots of illness and sickness, but Burgermeister trying to prove that race at Oberhof wasn't a flash in the pan.
He kind of had a little bit of a letdown last weekend, I believe, in Asiago, about 30th there.
Yeah, but here's a guy who's been on the World Cup not for that long, came in at the 98-99 season, although he's been on the team for some 10 years. But in the late 90s, he was really suffering. He had knee surgery in 98, elbow surgery in 99. So it's understandable that it's taken him a bit of time to actually get back to something like the form that you're seeing now.
And where he's training is in Davos, is his home place, and it's a similar altitude to here, which, the 1,000 meters isn't super high, but it could come into play a little bit.
Well, I tell you what, he was 18th in the World Championships in Lahti a couple of years ago. He's got a big chance to be much higher than that. But it's ominous now that you can see Olsgaard, who's on the far side, and it's Hjelmset, who's on the near side, who after that gulp of water or whatever it was, has now moved up to be a contender. Following him closely is Burgermeister, and on the file 3 down from the left, that's Anders Auckland, who's appeared in the front line for the first time.
More Norwegians in the top 5. They're known for racing very aggressive, and they've been in a lot of mass start races themselves. Anders Auckland's brother, Jorgen Auckland, the leading racer in the World Cup Loppets. So he probably knows a little thing about these long-distance races.
Well, of course, here in Val di Fiemme, Lago di Tesoro, right where we are, is the home of the great Marcialonga race. Starts here and goes to Moena, so, it's...
if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jorgen Auckland won that one.
I think he did. So this is a great place for this sport, as you see Sweden with the advantage again.
Matthias seems to be racing very aggressively. He knows what he's capable of, and looks like he wants to be a major player today. And that's probably a good sign for Swedish fans out there.
Well, still a lot of racers in that pack there. On the far side, 9, Andy Schluter. I suppose some would unkindly call him a bit of a veteran, but the Germans who've had a tremendous season, and Schluter, this might well be his last championship. Started the season well when he was 4th in Kusamo. So that was a great start to the season. And Schluter flying the flag for Jochen Belle's German squad very effectively at the moment. He's been in the hunt all the time. But on the right, it's Fredriksson. And then in the middle, it's Hjelmset. And you can see Olsgaard right there, still in the fight.
Another person that is worth mentioning in there is Fabio Mai of Italy in his last World Championships, I believe.
Probably his last World Championships. We were told that this was actually going to be his last race. And then our colleague Dario, who's alongside us for the Italian Eurosport service, went and checked her out. And Albert said, oh, no, he's probably going to race for another couple of years. Maybe. You never know. Some of these races, they race for the century. But... it's good that the Italians have got the strength in depth. They might need it if this flu bug that seems to be in and around their hotel is going to affect them. They might need the depth of squad that they've got here, but fingers crossed that it doesn't go any further. Zorro is okay. Apparently he's fine, which is good news. So leading on the left there, it's Estil with him. Fredriksson, so Norway, Sweden, Germany, still Burgermeister in there, 7, just a little bit off the pace, Jürgen Brink, but he's not that far back. 14, Villasov trying to get closer, and 37 moving up, that's the Estonian Rima. Not looking as if he's enjoying it too much. He was starting to rock and roll. You could see the shoulders.
But he's definitely put himself in a position for a career race there.
Oh yeah, it could be a personal best for him. We're going to take another break. We're in the third rotation of 4. Come back, stay with us. We'll be back very shortly.